You simply ask your local eye doctor. After all, more eye doctors across CENLA continue to recommend Wallace Eye Associates, and they have been for decades. When it's time for cataract surgery, there's only one team, one focus, your vision. Wallace Eye Associates.
Well, we'll jump right in then. How about that? When it doesn't fire off like you're supposed to, boy, it makes things a little bit crazy, but so be it. Welcome, folks. We are here at another edition of the Pelican Sports Report, and this is something that's really new. We're going to have our CENLA weather game day forecast, and we wanted to make it, boy, I got to be careful at throwing jabs at the weather guy when the weather guy's the first time on the show. But we're joined by CENLA weather and meteorologist and weather guru, Nick Mikulas. Nick, welcome.
Well, they say, you get to be right 50% of the time and still get a check. I like to be right like 55, 60% of the time, and then you get a bigger check maybe. But yes, thank you. Glad to be doing this. This is going to be fun, and we can talk a little sports, a little weather. I mean, that's the two things that keep me going.
Look, I told you, I told folks, if we just, and for people that aren't familiar with what we're going to do, the games kick in on Friday night. Sometimes they'll be Thursday nights. And so we'll have our 8 o'clock session right here where we see what's going on. Are we going to have winds? Are we going to have rain or storm or the temperature? Whatever it's going to be. And so the pressure's on my man, Nick, to let us know all of that. But along the way, we're going to figure out a lot about sports and a lot about weather and just things that keep both of us interested. Nick and I live relatively close to each other. And if you've got a comment tonight for Nick, for me, just pop it down in your chat bar and it'll pop here and we'll get that answered for you too. There's nothing like live questions coming in. But Nick and I live relatively close to each other, and we have this vision. This is how Ted Turner started out. Now he owns half of Atlanta. So I don't know if we're going to make it that far, but along the way, we're going to have a lot of fun.
No, we are. And that's the beauty of this is we get to do it, kind of have fun, do it the way we like it, do it from home. I mean, I could walk down to your house, but it's easier, I think, just to do it this setup here. And I've got the whole weather set up here. You've got your studio down there, which our studios are multi-purpose. As you know, we've got a lot of stuff going on here, but yeah.
let's clear the air though, real quick. When you said walk down here, you drove the other day.
I did.
Here, so.
My wife goes, why don't you just walk down there? I said, because, okay, it's at the other end of the street. I mean, we are very, very close here. So it's not even maybe a 1/10 of a mile. But it was like, that day it was 102 degrees or whatever. And I was like, I'd be sweating like a pig by the time I got there. So I'm going to go ahead, get in the AC, drive on down there. And the traffic was good. As I noted, we were fine there. And it's nice to be able to leave about 30 seconds before a meeting and get there and be there on time.
Look, that was perfect. And then once we get the door situation figured out about which one, because you never know, that's a dilemma. You go to somebody's house for the first time, you don't know if it's carport or side door or front door, whatever it was.
And it's like you feel like one door is the entrance for everyone, and you learn that very quickly. And then the other one, it's like you're invading it. Like my in-laws, their front door, like, I don't know if I've ever seen it open. It's just like, you don't come to the front door. That's weird. You come under the carport. So now I have learned the door to access your home and not upset the dogs, most importantly.
Most importantly, the dogs. And so here, my wife comes home, and she comes home from lunch for 1 to 2 every day. And she came home and she said, I didn't know you were having the meeting at our house. I'd have cleaned up. And I was like, how do you know? I mean, he's gone. How do you know this? The Ring doorbell on the front. When you hit the Ring doorbell, it pops up, and I'm busted. Yeah,
you're
done.
Busted on that. And that was why when I'm strategic with this. I said to you, I was like, what time do you want me to come down? Because I knew if I said to Kristen, hey, Doug's going to come up here. Oh, we got to clean the house for 2 hours, which means we have to. And I don't want to do that.
Right, exactly. So and
I did. Was lovely, by the way.
I did. I'll let her know that. But she came home. Let me tell you, and this part, Nick, could get us in a lot of trouble because I do morph away from sports a little bit and end up talking about a lot of other things. But she came home at lunch at 1 o'clock and then started cleaning in case I sprung another one of these messages.
I showed up again. I forgot.
Yeah. So no, I don't know. Now that I'm working from home, she tends to think that I mess the house up a little bit more, and I don't see it. I don't. It's comfortable and lived in, is what I say.
That's it. I always blame it on my daughter when she comes in. She still came in this past summer, and I'm accurate with this. I'll tell you this because I'm pretty low maintenance when it comes to things. The difference with us is my wife likes to have the kitchen perfectly cleaned in the evening before we go to bed and everything. I'm like, no, let's wake up. I'll do it in the morning first thing. No, we've got to get it done in the evening and all that. But that's the whole. I mean, we both work from home, so we have a totally kind of weird schedule thing here. But yeah, you guys will get into the rhythm. You've only been doing this full time a couple months though. You've been off at the office until what?
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
The rhythm. It'll be good.
So while we're getting in, before we even get to the weather, we're figuring out a lot of stuff out. This is like that boxing match with neither one of us getting punched, where you're just feeling out the other fight. So you talk about having to clean the kitchen before you go to bed, and yeah. I'll put this in the comments too. Does the bed have to be made when you leave throughout the day, pillows back on, or can you, or is it unmade and you just get back into bed?
It depends. I'll tell you this. I learned what she really wanted because last week I was sick. So what we have now, we're empty nesters. We have the business in here. We have all the, crazy stuff with that and everything. But we have my daughter's room that's still pretty much her room. My stepson's room is still set up like his. But if I get sick or something, or I'm snoring too much, you got to go back there. So I'm back there hanging out and everything. So that's where I was. And I got to learn what she wanted to do, how she wanted things done when I was back there. And that was what I learned. She does want the bed made, evidently, because every time I came out, stumbled out around noon, I'm looking in that bedroom and I'm like, man, this thing looks nice here. I guess I need to start doing that.
That's exactly right. Look, if you're watching along on Facebook or YouTube or X, I guess it's X. I still, it's forever Twitter to me.
I know.
But it's X. Leave us a comment on what you want, a question that you have for Nick Mikulas on there. Robert Anderson tells us, great show. Robert, we appreciate that. Robert will be part of that Pineville High School crew. They've got a scrimmage game up in Naked. It's the only team that's out of the area on here. So, Robert, we appreciate you checking in. He'll be down on the sidelines for that Pineville High School broadcast with Rich Dupree, Nathan Martin, and his son Landon are out there with them as well. So great to hear that from him. So if you're leave the bed unmade or make it up before you go, leave that, because there's nothing off limits tonight on here unless it's a dig at one of us, and then it won't make the broadcast. So
we filter that out. Freedom of speech only goes so far when you're talking smack to us.
Not when it's our show. That's exactly right.
That's it.
And this is going to be our home on Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock. So make sure you tag that and make sure that you're there. So let's dig in a little bit to what it is at CENLA Weather. If you're one person that's not subscribed, I think our area has 63,000 people in it roughly. And 62,000 of them are following your page. So I don't think you need an introduction as much as I do, but it's on my side. So tell us a little bit about CENLA Weather.
I want to get that other 1,000 though. No, CENLA Weather is something that kind of came out of, I worked in the TV business until 2009. Yes, I've been off for 15 years.
Gosh,
isn't it nuts? It's crazy. I mean, at least people now, it used to be, 6-7 years after, they'd be like, I love watching you every morning. I'm like, man, you must not watch every morning then, because it's been about 6-7 years here. But yeah, so I kind of started talking about weather on social media when I didn't know what it was. It was Facebook, and it was like, 2009, 2010. I'd be like, oh, big storm's coming, blah, 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 nothing. And I'd get a couple of comments or whatever. And it was basically a way for me to not get 50 text messages from family. And I would then be able to go out and put it out to the masses. And then I hit that little friend limit you can hit. And I was like, well, what do I do now? This is terrible. And I realized you can make a business page. So I did, not even thinking, this is a business or anything. I just wanted to talk about weather because I've loved it since I was a kid, and really just enjoyed the heck out of it. You got me? Oh, okay. So I wanted to basically do something. And when I say wanted to do something, I just wanted to talk about weather. And I had this audience that kept growing. And then we had a few events, a winter storm, and then the tornadoes in 2017. And I was going live and talking to Tom Convica back at the station and everything. And it got to where we were really kind of realizing that or I was realizing that I had a following with this stuff and I wanted to keep talking about it. So, years go by and Tom, he was out on his own. He was kind of a free agent. And I found this system that I really like and was like, okay, let's go ahead. And if the two of us can go and put 60 plus years of Central Louisiana weather experience together, and we're already talking, we're already texting each other and talking about this constantly anyway. So if we can go and we can actually, if we can turn this into maybe a profitable business at some point, wouldn't that be fun? And it's been great. I mean, the community support is incredible. The not only the community being the people, but the local businesses that jump on board. I know you guys have that too with 446 and everything. And it's incredible to be able to do what we love, and from just a personal standpoint, to do what I was built to do. And really, if we're going to dig deep into it, when I married a local girl, I said, well, I'm going to stick around here for my life. The goal in broadcast media is I'm going to go from Alexandria to Little Rock to St. Louis to Chicago, whatever it is. You want to jump in market size and everything. And then it was so fortunate to be able to fall in love with an area with great local people, and just to be able to do what you love and not really have to adjust things. I mean, I come here in the morning. This is in the front of the house, man. I get to talk about weather right here in the front room. It's if there's a severe storm. The other night, when that wind knocked the power out, I jump up, I run in here. I'm like, okay, let's go ahead and put a post out there and tell them what's going on. You don't need to have anything more than that. And I appreciate the people, and I really enjoy what I do. Can't hear you. You could say. I can't hear you anymore, Doug. He's muted.
Our mobile banking app is changing the way we bank. Things are getting easier, transactions are getting safer, and you have access 24/7. All the functionality of banking you're used to, made easier to use, anywhere, anytime, and more secure than ever. Simple, seamless, safe. Download our mobile app today.
Yeah, so I think I should be back now. Okay.
I got you, buddy.
So here, that's the beauty of live TV. And
Yeah.
Chuck was on. You saw Chuck popped in. He said great things happening with CENLA Weather and 446. Chuck is
good.
my executive producer. He does the Tioga stuff, and of course Sharon says she's watching. But what happened was I didn't put my iPad and my phone on Do Not Disturb, and so when the phone rang through, it cut it out. Is what had happened. So yeah, there was a lot of wisdom that I put on that nobody could hear.
Oh,
but
man, I missed you. You probably thought, why is he walking all over me? I couldn't hear anything. And just so you know, Sharon, did you notice the last name on that? Her second name there?
Mikulas, yes.
Okay, that's my mom. So my mom's a Mikulas who became a Mikulas.
I got you.
And then, so no relation. I've actually dug back in the ancestry stuff, and they're all from like Eastern Europe and everything, but kind of different areas and everything. Yeah, kind of crazy, like Croatia, Serbia, all that. So that's my mom.
Well, there you go. Well, hi, Mom. That's good to see. And if folks find to make sure that they go out and follow, because what we've got to do is, and I don't want to lose some of your followers to come over to mine. They can follow both sides of it. So
I follow both.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, this is going to be a lot of fun this year. We haven't even got into the weather side of it. Nick, for a little bit of a preview of what's going on, and we'll get back and talk a little bit more football here in just a minute. But weather plays a big important role in football on here. As a matter of fact, games in September and October, they will stop at the 6-minute mark of every quarter in order to give my hydration break. A mandatory timeout at 6 minutes on there. But I've been outside at what would be game time, and dadgummit, it's pretty nice out there. So the bulk of our teams are here. One of them's up in Natchitoches. Pineville goes to Natchitoches. It's scrimmage week. So if you miss the forecast, scrimmage week's the time to do it. What does it look like this weekend?
Well, I'm looking right now at the temperature outside, 82. But, a lot of times if we're 82, which that's usually at like 5 in the morning, the heat index is still 94, 95 degrees. The heat index right now is 85. So today and tomorrow are great. I know Fridays when the games are. That's when moisture starts to sneak back in. But the moisture is going to be more surface. It's not going to be a real deep deal where we have widespread rain. I do think we have enough for an isolated shower or storm. But generally, highs are going to be in the mid 90s. So pregame is going to be pretty hot. Heat index only, I say only because we live in Louisiana, only around 99 or so. So we're going to keep it just a hair below 100, which we've been 115 the last couple of days before this cool down. So it is still going to be, I would say, respectable for what we can get this time of year. And rain chances are really low. So it looks pretty good. Now, I have been looking at some of the newer high resolution stuff coming in. Couple of showers, maybe a thunderstorm. I don't foresee any big lightning problems, but yeah, I think we're probably by game time going to be down to around 90 degrees. And then as we get later into the evening with that slightly drier air, we'll cool a little more efficiently. Probably still near 80 though by the end of the game. So it's going to be a lot of sweat. Definitely going to need that hydration break.
Look, anything compared to last year, and you see the comment that's on there, Under the Lights, a great sports program, one of the hardest working guys, Jordan Taylor and his group, got an amazing collection of helmets down there for everybody. Every school he interviews, they'll send him helmets down there, but I do feel it in the air. It's football, indeed.
I love it. Yes.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
That's my thing. I look at the sporting season, like the NFL season, I start to think, about week 5, week 6, we're really going to start to cool down. So I kind of correlate those together. I remember that from when I was a kid. It was just like, once we got there up in St. Louis, it was definitely getting cooler. Down here, maybe we get down to 80 for a high, something like that. But,
and look, anything better than the way that it was last year. Look, we covered LSU a couple of times. People say, "Look, it's a day game, isn't it hot?" That's like, well, we go inside up to the press box, and it's not so bad.
No, it's not bad for us. The players, another story. I looked last year. I was looking just because there were so many incredible things, and I just saw this today. From August 17th to August 27th in Alexandria, we did not have a high below 105 degrees. Now this year we haven't gone above, I think, 101. So, and I don't see that happening anytime soon. You can get it in September, but what a difference a year has made. It's hot, but doable.
What happened to and look, I'm because we're switching over to the rain and such as that too. Yeah. When it's hot, I expect the Gulf to be churning, and I expect to be hurricanes coming through and all of that. And we've been lucky since that bad run we had 2 or 3 years ago. We've been pretty lucky.
Yeah, we've since the whole Laura fiasco, I mean, things have really kind of taken a break. Now, this is the year we were supposed to see a big transition back to a really active year. I still think we get active, but the thing is, when you're talking about a year where we're forecasting like 20 to 24 storms or something like that, you not only need that peak where it's going to be crazy, you need to really build up to that and then see late season storms and everything. I think we're going to come in a little under the early season forecast, but I still think we get busy here. Probably as we turn the calendar into September. So hopefully that doesn't mess with the schedules and, of course, a million other things that a hurricane can do. But yeah, with the barrel scare in early July, that's as close as we need to get to one. We need some rain, but we don't need it to come in the form of a significant hurricane like that, as everyone knows. But yeah, I'm watching carefully. And as we get past about day 10 on the ensembles, things are starting to get a little more active. Still no credible threat. Nothing that I'm really focusing in on as an imminent threat for our area. But this is really late August through September. That's your peak season. We have about a 6 to 8 week window where we get a lot of our storms, and we are just now stepping into that. So while I think we may come in a little under the numbers we had forecasted at the beginning of the year, I still think a busy season is on the way.
Well, there you have it. That is our game day forecast. It's going to be hot. We know that, and I'm gonna start learning some of the other terminology for it, because as we had in our little pre-game discussion yesterday, I'd put out 50% every day. It's either gonna rain or it's not.
There you go.
But we don't need me for that depth. We need you for that depth on there.
I'll go 10% for Friday, so it's going to be below the Doug cast. But that being said, if it rains where you are, then it was 100%. So I get it. It all comes out in the wash, I guess. That'll be the thing. I've seen the pictures and the memes and whatever, and they'll show kind of like a Louisiana skyline where you have a thunderstorm here, and you can hear the thunder here. And then it's sunny and bright over here, and everybody's like, "Where's my 30%?" And then it's, wait, 30%. This is 100%. And then it's like, I hear thunder, but it never rains here. So yeah, it's tricky in the summer around here. And there are a lot of days where I'll tell you this, and I consciously try to avoid it, but some days I have to. I hate putting a 50% in because that totally seems like a coin flip. But there are days where you do get those scattered storms, and about 50% of your area gets the rain. So I do have to bust it out every once in a while.
Okay, so I heard you and Tom talk that now you're getting to the point something. I've seen a 55.8% chance of rain. You stay away from that. Is that watching it a little too much?
It's nuts. We don't even do the fives. We don't do 55 or 65. Right. If we can get it to where we're good enough to where we can get it rounded to the nearest 10th or nearest 10%, then I'm good. We do not do that. I see the model data where it'll say 37%, but then the next day it may say 62 or 20. So we're here to kind of smooth all this out, watch all the trends. And that's the thing, like with forecasting weather, why I don't like to be away for long periods of time. I like to stay plugged into things locally, and I like to follow all the trends on the models, because if you have a storm system coming in and 3 days ago it was showing maybe we're going to get an inch of rain, and it's consistently trended up to where now it's 3 to 4 inches of rain. Well, I know that trend might continue, and we might even want to go over that. So yeah, it's a lot that does go into, and that was a very basic explanation, but to do it the right way, I think you need to have a really good local knowledge of things, and you just need to be dedicated. And I never feel like it's work. I love doing this stuff. I love looking at the weather. I've got the screens up all the time where I'm doing it, and putting that whole camera network in. It's got a great benefit and everything. We've got one on Turpin Stadium up in Natchitoches. Man, I sit here and watch the sunset on it. I just think they're so cool. I love that kind of stuff.
Look, that's great. And I use that type of mindset when I convince my wife I need another camera, or when I get another piece of equipment in and she's like, "Really? Is that what we're doing?"
Do we need that, or do we want that?
I just point back to all the printers that she has and the heat presses, and that usually ends the conversation. On there too.
And that's where we are so similar, because we both we both do this. He does the sports, I do the weather, and we both have kind of this whole T-shirt thing going on the other end of the house too. So I mean, it's quite crazy that we're more similar than I think I even thought before I really started talking to you.
A couple of questions before you get out of here
right.
For tonight, and we've run long today. I promise folks that this Wednesday night segment won't run this long normally, unless we're just hanging out and talking again, and we'll do that. All right, question that I've got for you: NFL or pro? I mean, NFL or college? What's your favorite football?
I'll say I like NFL, but I like it because of fantasy, and that's it. I mean, I'm a dejected, jaded St. Louis Rams fan. I mean, I grew up. My dad had season tickets to the Cardinals.
They've been like 3 other places, hadn't they? By now.
The Cardinals or the Rams?
The Rams.
The Rams, no, they're just out in LA. They left us. But yeah, they went from LA they came here, and then they went to LA. But my dad, I mean, had season tickets from 95 to, I guess they left in 2017 or something. But man, we were there for the greatest show on turf and everything. And even playoff tickets that year, because he had the season tickets and everything. And we were way up in the nosebleeds, but there was nothing like that. And then when they left, some of my friends stayed fan of the team. I didn't. I now root for whatever fantasy team I can put together, which typically doesn't do very well.
So it still doesn't sit well, the penalty that was not called in the playoff game against the Saints either. That was and you still can be a fan of it. I don't understand that.
No, objectively watching that game, I was sitting around with a bunch of Rams fans, and that was when I had kind of moved on from it. And I'm like, y'all, you got to be kidding me. I mean, that was the most blatant, terrible call I've ever seen. And I know it's a tough job to officiate and everything, but I mean, that even gave us a rule change for a couple of years. It was so egregious. So, but yeah, I do enjoy the Saints. I really like watching that. And, I don't like to bring this out too much around here, but with a kid out of Texas A&M, I will tell you, love them or hate them, that is a fun stadium to go see football in.
Tom Boucher did an article on there, and it's on 446sports.com. He's got some family over in College Station, and he went to Yale practice the night before, and we've got stories about all of it.
Yeah, so we've been there. We've been to the Yale practices and the games and everything. And my daughter, she's a junior, and still she goes to that stuff, loves it. And it's just a neat kind of community. And it's one of those campuses. I think they have 70-something thousand undergrad and grad put together, or 70 it's huge, but I swear it feels like you're walking around, you'll see the same people 3 times in a day. It's weird. It's like huge but small, and it's just a good place. So yes, I definitely do enjoy watching LSU, but with 2 kids now going through A&M, one graduated, one a junior, I have to say I do enjoy those games as well.
So 2 different trains of thoughts and traditions. At Texas A&M College Station, they go, what is it, midnight and have yell practice?
Yeah, midnight yell.
And in Baton Rouge, they start cooking and drinking at midnight for
the
game. And so that's where their practice is done.
There's a little different vibe when you get to the game, but yeah, I like both. I've been to both stadiums and enjoy the heck out of both of them. That was one of my first, I guess, big Louisiana experiences. I went with a buddy. He's like, you got to go down to Tiger Stadium with me. And I came here in January. So it was the, 8-9 months after I got here. And my goodness, that was one heck of a fun time. We had a sports guy here back in the day, Jeff Horchak. He took me to my first Saints game, and it was in the press box. And we got to go to the interviews and everything. Cause he was like, just act like you're carrying my camera. Cause he could bring someone. It's like, that's so much fun.
Well, so when we go down and cover LSU a lot, and the last 6 minutes of the game, you get to go down onto the field because the interview room is just under the press box at the end of it, or just under the goalpost. And so the LSU Alabama game is LSU scores and wins it at the very end of it, and they storm the field after the Ole Miss storming, which I don't understand, but I'll tell you another story about that one in just a minute too, while we're talking football now. But we get into, and this row of state troopers is keeping the where they go into the locker room open so folks can get off the field and get in there. And we have to get inside that because so many people are getting onto the field. And I mean, it's just throwing in. It was the coolest, craziest, scariest thing I'd ever seen.
Oh, it's a blast, man. I love that kind of stuff. And I mean, I went to the University of Missouri, so they're good like every 10th year, but now that they're in the SEC, that might be over with.
All right, so I see a couple of questions come in. Let's get to those if you're good. This one is from my man Chuck, and he asked it 3 different times. He had to log out of the 3 different things that he was in working because 2 of the questions looked like they came from us. But I'm going to put this one up. Can you see the questions?
The weather reports use FAA weather reports to help with forecasts. So how long did it take to learn METARs and TAFs? I had a class my freshman year of college that we decoded METARs and TAFs and all that stuff, and kind of got into that. I use them for observation stuff. It can be great. I mean, obviously the METARs are going to be your observations that come in hourly or even more frequently. And
for those of us that don't know, explain what
that is. A coded like observation that comes in, and it would look like, I mean, Chinese to you if you saw it, but it's really simple to kind of break it down once you get it. It gives you current weather. They may have remarks in there. It gives you the temperature, dew point, wind direction, if there was a thunderstorm, when it began, lightning, all this stuff. And it's all this kind of coded data and everything. You really want to have some fun. Look at the coded data that comes out of the hurricane hunters. That is madness. And you get tons of these observations, and it's like, okay, I need to decode this, but you know what to look for and things like that. But yeah, the aviation forecasts also, I use them to a degree. I look at them, but it's weird. A lot of the products that come out, a lot of the National Weather Service stuff, which I partner with them, they're great. They're awesome people. But I usually do all my stuff, and then I'll go back and look and check and be like, am I grossly different than what they're saying, what Tom's saying? It's when I was a kid and I was getting into this, I would read all that stuff first and kind of shape my forecast around it. Now that I'm old, I do my own thing and then make sure I didn't screw up.
So here's the way I predict it. I've got this little thing in the backyard, and if the pencil swings this way, it's supposed to rain. If it swings that way, it's going to be dry and clear. So that's the only way. If you
ever, just a pro tip, because you live so close, if you ever see me doing this, like ducking under the desk, you go ahead and do that too.
Look, I feel how Jim Cantori's neighbors feel. I'm telling you, I get that. So the other question, did you follow much of the Super Regional for LSU baseball last year?
Not a ton on the baseball. I didn't. And it's kind of silly that I don't, because I love prospecting for baseball. And I love like looking at minor league baseball affiliated stuff. I've never gotten too deeply into the college stuff. But whenever it gets to World Series time, I'll watch things and all that stuff.
Well, back in the Super Regionals, they had a few weather delays on there, and the weather was just clear. It's like stuff was supposed to be coming in, so they pushed the games back. And what goes into the lightning, I guess, part of it? If there's storms in the area, what's that going to do to cause some chaos?
I don't know their exact protocol on when they will delay or cancel or whatever. Here's the thing, though, and I don't know what the capacity is there in Omaha, but say you've got a St. Louis Cardinals game, you got 50,000 people in the seats. It's not like you can say everybody get to shelter real quick. So if they see a storm maybe an hour and a half out, they're probably not going to want to get everyone in place and then have to move them out. And if there's going to be something like hail or lightning or something like that, that's really kind of the thing that scares meteorologists the most, is these huge gatherings when a severe event's coming. Because, you know, if you're in your house, you can seek shelter pretty quickly. You can do things to protect yourself against most things. But if you're out in the open like that and it starts hailing golf balls, that hurts. And that can do some serious damage. So, and if I remember correctly, that there were some big time late season storms up there when that was happening.
Well, this was down in Baton Rouge is where they were.
Oh, this was in Baton Rouge. Okay. I think and then I remember that one too. And I'd have to look back at exactly why they did it, because I don't remember the details on it. But I would always say the bigger the crowd, the more caution they're going to put into it. They're definitely they're going to try to keep you safe. There was again, St. Louis, so I'm a Cardinal fan. There was a game, 10 years ago or something, and a microburst came through, and it was 80, 90 mile an hour winds. I mean, blowing trash cans and everything down. And it was so hard to get everyone, and everybody comes out of the stadium wanting to run to their cars and stuff. And it's hard to communicate, because I know there are times we're going to say, hey, this big storm's coming. And it's like, well, it just rained and there was a little thunder and everything. Well, maybe 5 miles away, it was different. And in this case, this was just this huge downburst, and it was just chaos outside of the stadium and everything. And you just want to avoid that. But you don't want to overwarn. That can be another set of problems altogether. When's the cold front coming?
There's the third member of my broadcast crew is in here too. So yeah.
Highs in the 50s. Lows in the 50s. I was going to say maybe we get that like up in toward Tallulah or something, and maybe tonight or something. But highs in the 50s, I would say that is a Thanksgiving at best kind of deal.
That's playoff football.
Correlates with hunting season, playoff football. I mean, that's what I'm looking for. I am a cold weather hound, and I want to get up. My stepson lives up in Seattle, and I told my wife, I was like, we got to get up there in the winter and not go to Seattle where it's just going to be 42 and raining. We got to get up in the mountains, and we don't ski. I just want to sit in the ski lodge and look at the snow and enjoy that. Because I break my leg. I'd do something.
Well, some people have to do that too. All right. Everybody knows you're a baseball purist, right?
Yes.
All right. You're DH or no DH? For
me, as a National League fan, I see both sides of it. I kind of like the idea of the pitcher hitting, just because my Cardinals for a good while, I think they had a monopoly on awesome hitting pitchers. They had guys like Jason Marquis, Adam Wainwright, going way back to when I was a kid. Joe McGrain, he was a hitter. I mean, we had some really good hitting pitchers, and I think there was a way
because they had to hit. Because they had to. That's you learn to.
And that was it. And they did. And you know what's crazy is most of these guys, they're such good athletes. They can get out there and do, I mean, they can hit. If you can throw a baseball 95, you can typically hit as well. I like the strategy of both ends, but if I had to pick, I guess I'd go with the pitchers hitting. And although I don't know, man, I just get bored when they're bunting and stuff. It's terrible. I don't know. I don't know. I'm non-committal. That's my weatherman in me.
Savannah Bananas, yes or no?
I've never actually seen it. Yes, because it seems like people like it and have fun with it. So as long as we're just having fun with it and not trying to get them their own team or something in the league, yeah, I'm good with it.
We were sitting in an establishment over in Natchez where my wife and I like to go a lot, and it was a Savannah Bananas game that was on ESPN, and the guy at the establishment got up and was and was leaving because it wasn't baseball, and he was just so mad about it. And I was like, dude, all the things in his life to get mad about, it's not it. They're having fun. They're not trying to come in and win the NL pennant.
If people are having fun with something and it's good, clean fun and nobody gets hurt, I'm all for it, man. And that seems like what that is. Seems like people love it. Seems like it's impossible to get a ticket, so I probably won't see it live and in person, but I've seen some good things out of it. So yeah, have fun with that.
Sold out Alex Boxing 3 nights in a row down there, and that's difficult to do. My man Nick Mikulas, thank you so much. This is the CENLA Weather Game Day forecast. You told us that we're going to have hot, but it's going to be dry. And we said a new term, the Doug cast, I think is what.
Doug cast. Yeah, that's the 50. Doug's going 50%. I'm saying 10. So
that's right. So right. I would lean towards the guy with the CENLA weather shirt and not the guy with the 446 sports shirt.
Hey, we know how to rep our brand.
Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock, we will be here each and every week through the playoffs, all the way to the Superdome, and looking forward to it. My man, Nick Mikulas, CENLA Weather, thank you very much, my friend.
Thanks, Doug. See ya.